Welcome to the All Things Hidden podcast with your host, Christa Reynolds. Today's guest, Lori Dali, a registered dietitian, and a lot more. Today's episode is entitled, Is a High Oxalate Diet Causing Your Inflammation? If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Christa appreciates it.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to another podcast of All Things Hidden. I'm excited. I have a really interesting topic today that is getting a lot of playtime right now because it's kind of a wake-up call in the nutritional area. I'm sitting here with a just incredible woman named Lori Dali. Lori is a native to she's a native to the East Coast, actually. She's now living in Northern California. And I would like to just give you a little breakdown of Lori's background in regards to this topic that we're going to be dealing with, which is the pluses and minuses of oxalates in your diet. So Lori is joining us today, and she's been a registered dietitian for the last 30 years, having started her training and internship through the Harvard Teaching Hospital of Boston. Her interests in the power of food begin years earlier as she was a competitive gymnast, which led her to the stage of the Miss America pageant, coming from Miss Massachusetts. All along the way, she was curious around different foods and diets and has done just about all of them. I know the feeling, I've tried them all too. Her 7 years of acute care work at the Massachusetts General Hospital led to a job at Merck Company, where for another 7 years, she explored the inner workings of a pharmaceutical company. She is presently a mom. She has raised 3 incredible boys while following and keeping up on the many food trends. Currently, she has a private nutritional counseling practice. And interestingly, it was during the time of COVID that Lori had an interesting wake up. And it had to do with how she was viewing the medical and pharmaceutical world. So Lori, let's dive in there. You can share a little bit more about you, and then I'd love to know what turn of events during COVID maybe took you on a different path.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you, Christa, for giving me the opportunity to have such a platform to get this important message out. So during COVID, I was working in an acute care facility and was absolutely traumatized by the way that we were taking care of our wisdom keepers, the elderly of our community. And so I quickly resigned from that position. But in doing so, it allowed me time to take a deep dive into what was really going on, because none of it was really making sense to me. And I had enough of a background in this kind of very conservative, traditional way of learning through the medical establishment. And I was just questioning everything that was happening. And so this deep dive took me to a place where basically I figured out that if we want to get anywhere near truth, you just have to flip upside down, like completely upside down, what it is that you've been told or what we're doing. And interestingly enough, with the nutrition bit of it, it took me a while to get there. I had a little bit of a dark night of the soul where I was like, I don't believe any of this is true. I don't know what I believe now. I have no idea which way to go.
So you're referring to the original protocol that you were given around nutrition. It was not making sense to you. And now you're like, okay, I'm downloading all this new information, and it's just the opposite of what I was taught, which is a mind screw. It's hard for anyone to flip, when your educational system showed you one path and the world is beginning to show you something very different. And I have to imagine repeatedly, because otherwise you wouldn't have taken this turn.
Yes, repeatedly. Yes, this was showing up in many different areas of life for me. But when it came down to this place where I was told I was a professional in this field, and that I was, that I knew what I was supposed to be doing here. And I'm thinking, I don't agree with a lot of what's happening uh, right now. I mean, the food pyramid is a joke. Let's just say it. It's so not
Right.
appropriate. And
Yeah.
um, so yes, I really had to take a deep look into, okay, what really is true? What really is going on here? And
So I'm imagining you've been a mother, you've been raising kids. Maybe you weren't were you working that whole time, or were you out
no,
away
not the
from the
whole
work?
time.
Not the whole time. So here you are returning, and you're trying to return with integrity.
Yes.
So and really you see the how important food is to a person's well-being and health and everything. And we have a lot of challenges in this arena. It appears, from manufacturing to growing to distribution to a variety of things.
Absolutely.
Um, and so here you are, you're back in a practice and you're getting a lot of different wake up calls from, and are these coming from the patients that you're seeing? Is this coming from the articles that you're reading? Is this coming from your own firsthand experience?
Yes, this was firsthand experience. So what I ended up doing during probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I decided, this kind of the carnivore craze was kind of going on. And I thought, well, that's one I have never done. Like, I'm curious, like, what does that feel? What would that feel like in my body to do that?
I've done it. Yeah, no, I've done it for like
Right.
3 weeks. Yeah.
And so I did it also. And I felt great initially. I felt great initially. And I was like, huh, there might be something to this. But
Mm.
then I started to not feel so good. I know now
Ah.
why it was oxalate related. I know now why I didn't know at the time. And so I was just taking my own personal experience and I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't.
So like what wasn't feeling right to you after a while? What was some of your symptoms or experiences?
Yeah. So I basically had, now I know, I basically had oxalate dumping. I started going through a process of oxalate dumping. So what the body does when it has an overload of these things, and we can kind of get into specifically what these things are.
Yeah, I would like to do that. But go ahead and finish your sentence here and then let's backtrack.
Absolutely. So when the body has a toxicity of oxalates, an overload, which I absolutely did because I was, for the most part, following. I mean, I know how to follow a diet. I mean, I knew what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I did. I had many, many vegetables most of my life. And so I started dumping. So when the body gets a break, when you're not bringing new oxalates into the body and the body gets a break, as amazing as the body is, it takes that opportunity to start releasing what it doesn't want anymore in the body. And it's a difficult process sometimes, right?
Is that like a fasting or something? Is that a fasting that gives you that intermittent time, or is that just like you just stop doing the meat?
That yet you stop bringing in oxalates. So because
Mm,
animal products do not have, well, have minuscule amounts of oxalates, if any at all.
hmm.
Um, because I was doing that, I wasn't bringing oxalates into my body. My body said, "Oh my gosh, this is a wonderful opportunity. Let's get rid of this stuff. Like we've been
Ah,
carrying this. Now finally, she's giving us an opportunity. Let's get rid of it. Let's get it out of the body." But as the body does that, you get tired, you're fatigued, you don't feel good, you get brain fog, like you're just discombobulated because
interesting.
basically the body's got to bring the oxalates back into the bloodstream, which it doesn't like to do, but it brings it back into the bloodstream to be able to excrete it, to get it out our different pathways.
Okay, that totally makes sense. Like a purging. That makes sense. Let's go back with you. What did I learn? It's a chemical compound that occurs naturally in the body and in some foods. That's as
Yes.
much as I know. It's all
Yes.
yours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yes, it's okay. You know what? I'll even in my training back when I was in school, I learned about oxalates. This isn't a new concept. Actually, we've known about oxalates since the 1600s. Like we have documented literature about it that far back. It was well established. So I learned about it in school in the context of kidney stones. Okay, so majority of medicine will say, oh, you go on a low oxalate diet if you have a kidney stone. Okay. Now we're learning. Now we're learning so much more, and we're realizing that's the end of the road. When
Mm.
your body has is trying to pass a kidney stone, it has already stashed it in all the other places that it can go. It does not like to put toxins in the organs, first of all. But it was the body's way to say, I need to I'm overloaded, and the only thing I can do now is get rid of it.
So if I understood correctly, it's like a compound. It's and it turns itself into like a sodium or a salt compound, which like crystallizes, right? Is that what's happening? Because that's what's forming a
That's
kidney stone. And the kidney stone, like you said, is the kind of the end of the road after maybe months, if not years, of constantly putting this stuff in your body. And here we are. But the body, if I'm correctly, like some of this because this connects you to the minerals and how we absorb minerals.
No, so it actually inhibits mineral absorption. So
That's it. Okay.
just the opposite. So it inhibits mineral absorption. So the body, so when these things come in, they're like shards. They're like a crystal. They're like a shard.
Hmm.
And it's it affects the body. It irritates the body all the way down. It
So
starts.
it can like create little cuts and I
Yes,
don't know, yeah, in the
yes,
body. What do you
yes.
call those? Like excisions or something in the body?
Yes, it absolutely does. I would call it an irritation
Hmm.
but we know that like leaky gut, like, the gut is a very fine, it's only like one cell layer thick. So when you're damaging that, it's so easy to establish what we kind of call now leaky gut, which allows your food particles from your GI tract. Some of them shouldn't be in your bloodstream, but if your gut is leaky, which means that it's opened up, these things can come through into your bloodstream that your body doesn't necessarily want. That causes inflammation.
So it gets lodged in your joints and your arms and your legs and different places, and then you start to have pain in those places.
That's exactly right. So
Right.
it initially is in the bloodstream. The body doesn't like it in the bloodstream because it can also damage our vessel, the different blood vessels and things that we have. So
Hmm.
within 6 hours, the body will try to take it out of the bloodstream and stash it wherever it can. Where it stashes it is a very individual process because that is dependent on where you've had previous traumas or troubles in your life is oftentimes where these things will land. Uh,
Interesting.
yes,
Yeah.
and then you mentioned the minerals. What ends up happening is the oxalates will attach to minerals. They'll bind with them. So so a kidney stone, basically 80% of kidney stones are calcium oxalate crystals. That's they have come
Hmm.
together. They're binding
Hmm.
together. Now it will also bind with other minerals. It will bind with magnesium and our other minerals throughout our body. This
Yeah.
isn't a good thing for us because we want
Hmm.
our minerals where they need to go. We don't want them
Right.
bound to an oxalate.
Right. Okay. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Um, so what is it like? Okay, so here you are, you're a dietitian. People are coming to you now. Are you dealing with this issue directly with some of your
Yes.
clients?
Yes.
Yeah. And so they're coming to you with what? Like how give me an example and then what is the protocol? And clearly there are foods that support creating well are probably not good for us because they create oxalates and there must be foods that help maybe reduce oxalates or I don't know, is that the right word? I'm not sure if it's reduce them or
Yes, yes, yes. That's correct. There are, so calcium, for example, if you have a sufficient amount of calcium in your diet, that will bind instead of pulling calcium from your bones, which will happen if you don't have enough calcium. Uh,
Mhm.
it will pull from your bones, which you absolutely don't want to be doing that. So yes, there are certain minerals and things that are good. Calcium is good to have, and it can actually help to pull oxalates out of your body. Otherwise, oxalate, your body does not want oxalates. Um, this isn't something that we need or we want in the body.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
so in my practice, I work primarily with GI, those that need some having GI distress, and autoimmune conditions is largely the practice, the people that I see in my practice, as well as general nutrition as well. And I have found that I am speaking about oxalates, and there's other anti-nutrients. So the oxalates are officially called an anti-nutrient because it pulls
Mm,
important nutrients that the body needs. There are other
right.
things too, lectins and phthalates, like phthalic acid does the same thing. Um, and we call those anti-nutrients. Um, so I'm talking oxalates with just about every client now.
So are you seeing more cases of this, or is this always been going on and it's just like, yeah, are people eating more of what holds oxalates, or is this a trend? I don't know what the right word is either on this.
Yes, no, that's a great question. So we used to eat much more seasonally as a species, as you know, as we lived closer to the land, we only had access to vegetables 2 months out of the year. And then the majority of the time, we were sustaining ourselves on animal products, is how
Mhm.
it went. And in that way, it naturally reduced the amount of oxalates that we were taking in for our bodies, to just a couple months for the most part. And then the body would have a bit of a purge when we would go kind of more in animal products in the fall and the winter. And it, I think, was a much healthier cycle. The body never got truly overloaded, and it was able to kind of process. Because, like I said, the body is amazing. The body can process toxins. Like we're able, it doesn't like it, but the body can process fluoride, and it can process mercury and aluminum. It doesn't like these things, but it has.
Right. Well, our stomach is primarily acid that gets quite hot and is designed to, digest and distribute the nutrients out to the various parts of the body that need it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, okay, so what are people eating
Okay.
that are high in oxalates?
Oh, okay. That's
And they don't know it. Like there could be people dealing with this issue and they don't even know it.
okay. So let's kind of get to the topic at hand right now. So these foods that are called superfoods, which honestly, I've looked this up. I don't even know who coined that word. I don't know how this evolved,
Superfood.
how this began, and how one food is called a superfood over another food. Like who did that? I don't even know. We don't know who even.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've ever thought about that.
It's
We're like, oh, it's super. It must be amazing.
yeah, it's awfully interesting. But there's a lot of very high oxalate foods that are now falling in this category of quote unquote superfoods. Spinach, for example, and all of your
Mhm.
almond products. Spinach and almonds are so high. Almond milk, almond flour. I mean, we're finding this in so many food products these days. Uh,
Interesting.
Even whole grains, right? Like whole grains are also very high in oxalates, because oxalates largely are found in nuts and seeds. You got to think about it this way. You know, we live in a interesting realm where we have, it's dog eat dog around here. Like to survive, we eat things that are living to survive here. And plants don't want to be eaten either. Plants want to survive. And so, because plants can't run away and they don't have, they're not like us, or they're not like animals. So we have, porcupine has his defense mechanism and we have ours. And so plants produce toxins. And so oftentimes if you're hiking in the woods, you'll see a leaf that has maybe 2 bites out of it. And you think, why did the caterpillar not finish? Like, why didn't he just eat the whole thing? Well,
Interesting.
because he got shards of oxalates probably that don't feel good, and he moved on his way to find
Right.
a plant that was more
So
suitable.
you're implying that a plant is a living being, and as it is, it's growing, it's living, and it not all of that we decided was worthy of nutrition and food for us. Did they decide that? They're like, why are you devouring me? Like I, but it doesn't much of it like isn't it just here for a period and then, dies away? Don't we grab it at the last end of its life when it's ripe, hopefully, and eat it up at that end?
Oh, okay, that's a great point. And actually, you're right. The in some foods, not all of them, but in some, we'll take an avocado, for example. An
Yeah.
unripe avocado is very high in oxalates, but
Yeah.
a ripe avocado is lower.
Yeah.
So there is
Yeah.
something to that. And also, like, take for example the berries, like a blackberry or raspberry that have its seeds, because it's all about protecting its seed, right? It wants its baby just like we do. We want our kids to go on and carry on when we're not here. The plants kind of want to do the same thing. So their seeds are very protective. That's why seeds and nuts tend to be very high in oxalates. So a blackberry, raspberry that has the seeds right on the outside, very exposed seeds, they will have a lot of oxalates around those seeds. Whereas if you take something like a blueberry, where the seed is inside the blueberry, it's a little
Yeah.
bit more protected inside, that's a much lower oxalate. That's a lower oxalate food.
And you would argue that the animal world gets all this intuitively, and
Absolutely.
they just understand the hierarchy, if you will, between the food and the plant and animal world. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. How did we get so stupid?
I know.
How did we not know? I mean,
And
well, we all know our intuition has been dumbed down incredibly. And it's kind of interesting because I looked at the list, and let me just bring up something here. I looked at a list, and it said the things like spinach and, well, I think I'm gonna have to look at the list to know what I'm even talking about. Let's see if I can find it here. One sec.
yeah, your spinach is high, your seeds, chia seeds
Yeah,
are
so
high, hemp seeds
that
are high.
yeah, so they were saying leafy greens, vegetables, nuts, seeds, fruits, chocolates, all of that. And it's funny because that's pretty much what I ate for years and years. And and like sweet potatoes, rhubarbs, almonds, like you talked about, berries, all of that stuff. And
Yes.
it's funny, you know, I don't eat much of that anymore, and I don't know why. It wasn't like I did it purposely. It just kind of what happened. I stepped away. So I would, I'm a meditation teacher, and I try to stay really present as much as possible. And it's so funny. Like, I never ate at McDonald's. My whole family would go to McDonald's. I was like, no, take me to Barnum and Bagel. Like, I'm just, I don't know. I just knew, but I didn't for years. For years, I ate what I just listed off for
Mhm.
years and years, and I felt like crap for years and years. I mean, I couldn't figure it out either. Like, I pushed through with coffees and certain things that I felt like gave me false energy, and it made me believe I was doing okay, but I really wasn't. I mean, I really was worried about my kidney in the beginning of COVID. And I had the time and space during COVID to start to eliminate some of these things and bring in different items. And I eventually felt like whatever was feeling like it was happening in my kidney cleared. And it had a lot to do with, drinking spring water, like good, clean water, and, doing a little bit more like, did you say milk products like yogurts and stuff? Are they good for,
Yes.
removing oxalates? Okay. Yeah. So, and just various things like that. But anyhow, let's go back to you and what you were saying. But it's an interesting to think of the animal and the plant world and the human world and our intelligence and how we understand all of this.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think, Krista, there used to be a time where we were much closer to this also. I mean, back in 1933, this was a syndrome. Oxalic acid syndrome was an official
Interesting.
syndrome that they had. So we've known about this. Why it was not included in the medical training, I don't know. Why it wasn't fully included in its full scope in my training, I'm not fully sure. And
Right.
I do think it awfully interesting to contemplate these things, right?
Yeah.
As we think about it. And you're not alone, Krista. Once there's a lot of us as we get, later in our life, and we've been doing a lot of what was the right things we were told was the right things, falling into ill health. And I'm right there with you. I had diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, and I'm thinking, what? I've exercised, most of my life and all the good foods, and how can this be happening to me? And it is a dose dependent type of condition. So it like, the body will do its amazing thing for as long as it can. And then when it just gets to the point where it can't anymore, that's where we start to see the symptoms. That's where we start to see it come out in these kind of weird ways that a lot of these things modern medicine doesn't have an answer for. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
So what's the protocol for you? What are you suggesting for some of your people that are coming in and it appears? Is there a way to test for oxalates? Is there any way to test for it?
That's a great question. The testing is not very good.
Mm,
Yes, you can test for oxalates in urine. However, there's been many cases, it's documented in the literature. There's many cases where even on autopsy, where they've autopsied the kidney after the fact of somebody, that never testing high for oxalates, and the kidney's loaded with oxalates. So it doesn't
mm,
always mean that the oxalates are going to make it into the urine. So it is a much more challenging thing to test.
mm.
What's really beautiful though is, taking these things out of your diet doesn't cost any money. You don't need to go to the doctor. You don't need to stand in line to get the blood drawn. You don't need to do a lot of this stuff. Like as if you can reduce pretty significantly some of these foods in your diet within 3 or 4 days, you will know as to whether
Now,
it's
are
effective.
there foods you can replace these
Yes.
foods with? Like, can you recommend some of those? Like, what do we want to? Because I think back to the farmers market. That's where I want to get the ripe avocado. I don't want to get the avocado that's been sitting at the grocery store that they picked really early. That's got a million oxalates in it, and I have to wait days. I like to go and get the one that just was picked yesterday and it's super ripe and ready to go. So, what are some of the foods that people can really benefit from?
Well, first of all, let me just say the seasonal eating, and that's a beautiful point to make with the farmers market. If we could get back into a bit of a closer habit of seasonal eating, where we are going to farmers market and we are eating the things that are growing in our environment, in our backyard at
Hmm.
that time, that will actually help eliminate a lot of the oxalates that we have in our diet. But there are other things. So animal products, the animal are open, all of them very low oxalates. So the eggs, the meats, the butter, um, the um, the dairy, all fantastic products.
So
Um,
ghee, cooking with ghee is great.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And just to kind of
And so to be clear, are the meat products okay too? Like the beef and the porks, and I don't know about pork. Pork is a little sketch these days, but beef and the hams and the things the reason I ask is you mentioned that in the beginning, but that really just started to move out the oxalates is what that was doing for you. Yeah.
yes,
So but it's in and of itself having a carnivore diet of sorts, or at least a part of your diet, including carnivore, is fine on the
yes.
oxalate front. Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And then there are vegetables that you can add in, like instead of doing spinach, arugula is very low in oxalates. A nice Bib lettuce is low in oxalates. Iceberg lettuce, romaine lettuce, they're all low in oxalates. Like a nice Caesar salad would be great, right? Where now you'd want to not do croutons, or maybe not many of them, because basically any of your grain type products they're going to have oxalates in
How
them.
about things like broccoli or cauliflower or carrots or any of
Oh,
those?
oh, absolutely. So carrots are high in oxalates.
Okay.
The broccoli, the cauliflower, the Brussels sprouts, they're all low in oxalates. However, they have another plant toxin. I mean, it's really, you got it. It's quite a thing to study all of these things, but they have another plant toxin in them that if you boil them before sauteing them or roasting them, just a nice boil them, throw the water out because the oxalate will pool into the water. Um, and the other plant toxins will go into the water. So those are all perfectly fine things. Just make them properly. There's very
So
few.
boil them first before you saute them.
Mhm. I know.
Ah, okay. Got
There's
it.
few vegetables in our vegetable world that you want to eat raw. Obviously,
Ah,
your lettuces are fine. But,
right,
but,
right,
but
right.
but any of the color, I mean, any of the cabbage family or the cruciferous vegetables, any of them have. It's actually a sugar. It's a plant sugar in them that is toxic. So again, you want to prepare them properly. This
Mm,
is why, right? We know this is why you eat these things and you get gas. I mean, we've kind of
mm.
known this. This is when we eat the beans and you're like, what? What? I get gas every time. Yeah, because your body doesn't know how to break all this down with the lectins, and the beans are very high in oxalates also. Beans and soy products are all very high. However, if you were to do like a mung bean and soak it for 3 days, you would leach out most of the lectin, and the oxalate in something like that would be gone in
Is
a
that for all beans? Or
no,
is that no? So
no,
other
but
beans are,
but a mung bean would be a good one to do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kitchery. I make a lot of, I
Oh,
did.
absolutely.
Yeah, which is a beautiful dish,
It
Indian
is.
dish, if you will, that has the ghee and has the mung beans and has the I think we use cumin and curry and yeah, like just it's a wonderful, but I think it takes you into that tridoshic state, if you will, where you've got your earthy, your fire, your air, and it's to kind of equalize it in your body. So you're tridoshic. So I'm a little bit familiar with that.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Kitchery.
that's a wonderful dish. But you know
Hmm.
what? You bring up a good point because this is a little bit tricky. Some of the spices are also high in oxalates. So like a
Mm.
turmeric and a curry, which I love curry. But you can make it a more like Thai curry style with the lime juice, and it's slightly different, and it is much lower in oxalates. But there are some seasonings like that are high.
So we're clear it's not an absolute don't do these, but if you're heavily doing that, a lot of these day after day after day, and you're inflamed and you're not feeling good, there's probably something going on here. Is that what we can
That's
estimate?
that's the story. Yep, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful way to sum this up. Yeah, there's plenty of other things to eat. I mean, I have a full list of all of the fruits that are good to eat. And yes, if you're able to remove a large portion of these things in your diet, it's amazing how much better you'll feel. The joints will start moving again. All of a sudden, the frozen shoulder you've had for 5 years is gone, and a number of other things. These oxalates can affect just about any system in the body, the connective tissues. They can affect your nerves. They can affect your general inflammation, right, which causes more of these kind of autoimmune type of conditions, of which I feel this is so important to mention. Your body will never work against you, ever.
I like that. I
It
love
is
that.
always working for you, always.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's drawing attention. The pain draws attention to what's going on so that you'll address it.
Yeah.
And investigate into it, like, and I think, again, if we're meditating and we're quiet, it might just tell you exactly what it is, like what this is, what's causing it, if you're fortunate enough. But well, this is important, and I think it's really important because, and I want to share with you a little something I uncovered in doing a little research on your subject matter here, because I wanted to just come in with some questions. I always research the topic just so I can come in with a question or two. And so I feel like I'm supporting the conversation. But what I came across, which was really, really interesting, and I want to bring up this word. It's called oxalobacteria formigenes.
Yeah,
Formigenes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
Yeah.
do.
So it's there are certain bacteria in the gut that can break it down. What I got is these metabolic oxalate acids, which stop it from binding to the minerals, like we talked about, and affecting the nutrition. So from what I understand, the body naturally makes these, but it's good to have these, like increase these for the breakdown of the oxalates. Is that correct?
It is correct. There is one bacteria, that's the only one, There's one
Okay.
bacteria that will break this down. Now, if you have ever been on a course of antibiotics in your life, chances are you don't have this bacteria. It's a very fragile, it's a very delicate bacteria, as some of them are,
Got it.
and it is very hard to repopulate it. So there have been studies, they have been looking at trying to do probiotics of this specific thing to repopulate the gut with this, and they have not had success as of yet in that case.
Okay. So where this came to was, so I looked it up and I learned about it and I learned, oh, that's so cool. So then I was like, well, what are some of the food sources that create this? And I went into my, I think I'm in DuckDuckGo. I want to be clear about the search engine I'm in. And I looked up this Oxalobacter formigenus. I'm not saying it correctly, but you kind of get it. Food sources. And right underneath, I get Search Assistant, which is their AI. Okay. And it says that this does not have, that this Oxalobacter formigenus, again, I can't say it, does not have specific food sources, as it's a gut bacteria that thrives on oxalate-rich foods. Consuming foods like spinach, beets, and nuts can support its growth. And I go, oops, like, wait a minute, that is exactly the opposite of what you've just said.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
had to ask myself, is AI trying to kill us?
Yeah.
It's just like, I go,
Terrible.
AI is literally telling me the exact opposite of what you just shared.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. Be careful about AI. And the internet, some of the information on the internet is not good. So I have gone through a number of the oxalate list. You know, you can get a list of oxalates on the internet,
Mhm.
and some of them are downright wrong, where they'll put, what's a high food, they'll put it as a low food, and a low food, a high, it's all over the place. And so I do want to make a point that the OG, I mean, the lady who this is basically her material, is Sally K. Norton, and she is an academic nutritionist out of Cornell University who wrote a book called Toxic Superfoods. And this really has brought this oxalate back to back beautifully, in a much more fuller context for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And truly, it's only her information, her research at this point that I even will go to as far as like oxalate lists. So I highly recommend her website. She has lists of the high and the low oxalates. I have it on my website also. And anyway, so there's some good sources out there, but there's a lot of, just like anything, right? We're learning that.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear that up because I thought, wow, what a I mean, I'm surprised I caught this, quite honestly. I could have stayed confused, but I'm like, I'm getting two different messages here. And and now that we've talked, I'm clear which message is probably incorrect. And
Mhm.
what's like, I've people are questioning what's coming through with AI right now all over the place. Like,
Mhm.
what is the truth? There's a tendency to confuse us a bit. And so I'm glad I'm sitting with someone who can just, correct the record for me. I appreciate that a lot because I think we depend on the internet a bit. A lot of us do. I think more and more we're, diagnosing ourselves because a lot of us are skeptical about the current medical world. And, some of us are like not wanting to go to doctors because they want us on pharmaceuticals and, or they want to just give us a pill and send us on our way. And none of us want that. We want to put natural products inside of us, things that come from the earth and nature and God, and that we can trust, and is going to give us that health, that vibrancy. I mean, I think of the people today, like the 60 is the new 40 and 80 is the new 65. I mean, people are, can be very vibrant if they really work with the right foods and the right, putting the right things in their body.
Yeah.
Lori, this has been so interesting, and I think I'm imagining that the listeners will feel this too, because they'll be beginning to do their own research on their own diets, their own bodies, what's happening to them. This may be an answer to a problem they've had for a really long time that's had no answer. So I'm so appreciative.
Mhm.
What else would you like to say? What did we not touch upon that you might want to share?
Yeah, thank you for that. The last point that I'll make is please give it a try. It's a very simple diet to be on, and don't be alarmed if you start to have symptoms of an oxalate dumping. I just kind of want to lay that out because it's so easy to start something new and say, "Oh, I got sick. I got a cold 2 weeks after I started this thing, and I was so tired, and I was peeing all the time." Okay, that's one of the symptoms that your body is releasing a lot of these oxalates is when you're doing a lot of urinating. So you want to make sure you're getting a lot of good water with sea salt in it. Always a little bit of sea salt because that adds the conductive. That's how our bodies see water because we are
Mhm.
salt water. And then allow those oxalates to pee out. So don't be alarmed. You got cloudy urine, little bubbly in the bowl, and you're urinating all the time. Good on you. You're doing it. You're cleaning out the oxalates. Let your body rest. Let it rest and just thank it for like, oh my gosh, you held on to these things for 40 years or however long.
So they can hold in the body for that long. They
Oh,
can hang out.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Especially if they're, tucked away in our joints, our organs, these different areas, the eyes, the ears tend to be places where these things go.
What do you know in your research? A lot of people come home at night, have a glass of wine, a beer. Like, how's alcohol in this department?
So and that's a topic kind of off the oxalate topic because there is no oxalates in beer. Wine has some, but there are no oxalates in beer.
Oh, okay.
However, there are tannins. That's a whole
Yeah, yeah.
other. There's always
Another topic. Yep, yep.
a whole nother thing, but the more that you can reduce, I would call alcohol another toxin.
We're not giving people a hall pass, but there are some people that's their
That's what
routine.
they do.
So
Yeah,
is
and the
that
body,
part of their oxalate diet to reduce that intake at some level? Like, I mean, as the Buddha said, everything in moderation.
absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah,
yes, that. And yeah, that having a glass of alcohol is not going to affect your oxalate status. So don't worry about that.
yeah,
That's
yeah. Good. Well, I'm sure that will be a smile on the end of some of this for some people. Okay. Well, I would love, Lori, how can people reach you?
oh,
I know you do traditional counseling with, and you're very busy, but you will always make room for the right people who really need your support and help. And you've been working with some young women lately, it sounds like, and this has been a real issue for them. So, how do people reach you? How do people find out how to work with you?
yeah, thank you. So I have a company called Holistic Nutrition. My website is holistic. Well, maybe we can put it in the show notes. It's
We
holistic.
will say it out loud though, because some people have great
Yeah.
memories.
Okay, great. Holisticnutrition.org is where
Okay.
you can find me. My name's Lori Dali, and
Okay.
I accept insurance because I'm still under the kind of conventional medicine model, of which I love working with a whole array of people because this is news to a lot of people, and even the young people that I'm working with for a skin rash or something else that's going GI issues mostly. Um, how wonderful, right? To be able to get this
Yeah.
information when you're 20 years old. Yeah,
Totally. Oh my gosh. I think of all the how
I
much
know.
less pain I would have had. Yeah. I'm a yoga teacher too. I mean, there was I definitely made some smart moves, but I also, I mean, it was a superfood. I thought I was eating really good stuff.
I know
So,
that
mhm.
smoothie in the morning with the spinach and the almond milk and the peanut butter and the oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
alone will go, oh my gosh, cause your joints to scream at you.
Right. Yeah. And especially because it's usually a daily thing. You do it every morning. And then 3 months later, you're like, why am I in pain? Why is this not working?
And that's it. And that's what's so frustrating is to think, these are people that in good intention, with good intention, they're going to these things and saying, why am I not feeling better? And so, Krista, thank you for helping me spread this word. This is my work. This is what I want to do. I've got to get this message out because I need to make up for all those years that I told people to go eat their vegetables. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, and I don't want to say you can't have vegetables, but it's clear that if you're dealing with a lot of issues, you're probably high in this. You need to remove them and reestablish your diet, and then you can bring them back in a little bit at a time, and just have, I mean, like we said, anything too much, anything you do repeatedly probably isn't good for you. I mean, anything that's done every day, besides water. Water is, a must, and
Yeah.
good, clean, purified water is even better, spring water. But this has been very enlightening. I've really enjoyed it. You've got me thinking. You've got me definitely looking at my food at a whole nother level. And I hope that others will have that same experience and find their vitality and their health. It is our wealth. I mean, your health is your wealth. It really is at the end of the day. If you feel good, life can be great. Life can be really
Oh,
great.
for sure. For sure. And we need that. We need lots of healthy people right now.
Definitely, definitely. Well, thank you again. And let's get this far and wide so people can really benefit from it.
It's great. Thanks, Christa. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you for watching and listening to the All Things Hidden podcast with Christa Reynolds. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Christa appreciates it. Thank you. This has been a recording by Madmana Studios in San Anselmo, California. For more information, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, contact us at Latham, Latham, at Madmana, Madmana Studios.com. All rights reserved 2025. Copyright Madmana Studios.